Welcome back. Today we got an extra special treat for everybody. My guest today is a Grammy Ballot rock and roll artist. He's an entertainer, he's a producer, he's a coach, he's an author of this great book here, Permission to Create. He is a lover, he's a manifester, he is a community builder, he is a friend, and he is an awesome, awesome soul. My guest today, Nate Jones.
Woo. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Hey, absolutely, brother. I really appreciate you being here. This is a long time coming for me. For this show, I have a lot of people who I like. I see them, and I say immediately, like, oh, I can't wait to have them on my podcast and have that, that connection. And from when the first time that we met, and I was listening to your music, is when you were you had put on a Perungi show at the Hive, and I'd known about you before, and just because I'd seen postings in the Hives, but I hadn't heard you play music yet. And then at that event, afterwards, after Perungi had played music and you came on and played music, I was just like, dude, this guy's unbelievable. What he's doing is amazing. He's truly sharing, embodying, happiness and togetherness through his music and building community. And so I was always going to have you on the podcast, and I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it too. That was a great show at the Hive over in Candia in New Hampshire. That was last November. For those that don't know, Perungi, he's a Brazilian medicine music artist. He tours with about 60 different instruments that he live loops all together, and we got to experience that. And we also got to create music together as part of that show, with the portion of it where the audience was singing, call and response. And
I've actually said it on this show before that, like, imagine if we were doing that when we got together. It was 8 of us, right? I mean, eight different groups of us that he separated us into. And we were all either singing or doing some type of movement with with our hands and making music, and it was just the way that he maestroed that. And it's like, man, if you had like someone who's at least not him, but was able to, do this to some extent, and they just got their neighbors together like once every other week and did this together, the world would be like the best place. Mm-hmm. So connected. It was so amazing, because even someone like me who doesn't think that if you hear me singing, it's usually not pretty good, but we all have this ability. When I sing with you, it does sound good. When you believe in yourself and when you're with other people who are doing it, it's like, holy crap, we all have this in us. It's an amazing thing.
Yes. Well, it's sort of, I don't want to boil it down to the placebo effect, but when you're around people who make you feel like you shouldn't be singing, you're more likely to pick up on the vibe of the room and judge yourself and not feel like it was as good as if you're around a bunch of people who are filling the room with like unapologetic joy and just belting. It's sort of like gospel, but it's song leaders that can come in and just put everybody together and remind people that, they can always sing. That tool is always available to them,
Yeah, 100%, because having that tool, you go to, like, one reason why people love church, right, is because you get to sing. You get to go there and you get to sing with other people, and it makes you feel good to do that. It feels good to harmonize with others. And like, there's plenty of people who are even in the chorus of the church, they're not the most talented singers ever, but they're out there and they're doing it, and it's amazing, and they're feeling good and like unapologetically, just belting and being themselves. And I think it's so powerful. Like, I mean, that's another thing why I revere you, is because you create this for people, with the shows that you've done and that I've been to. You create this environment where people feel comfortable to do that. And so like my journey, everyone knows on the show, like I was dancing and I had to, come through this, revelation to be myself, and I've heard, shows that you've been on before where you've talked about this same journey where like, I wasn't completely comfortable being who I was. Who I truly was, but I wanted to break out. It needed to break out, and the only way was through. And so I started dancing, and at first I would throw up because I was so nervous about what people would thought of me. And I didn't drink alcohol or anything, so I was completely sober, trying to dance, and I would vomit, run to the bathroom, throw up. now after 10 times of doing it and learning to breathe and all this, learning brought me to yoga, like all this incredible stuff. And now it's such a part of my being. I can't without dancing, without expressing myself through movement, I wouldn't, I'm not, that's who I am. That's who I am as a person. And so it seems like from what the research that I did on you, that's kind of your similar journey.
Yeah, we live right in a society that has sold back a lot of the things to us that were always ours.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so for example, like you say, a lot of people do believe they have to go to a club, pay the cover, buy some drinks, right? And then once they've bought into the social paradigm, then they will feel free enough to relax and dance and move their body when you could just do that at any point. And I love that you have come through that portal for yourself of you have to be willing to not be great at something. When I bought this guitar 12 years ago, I could barely play. But I knew that investing in myself was going to lead to good things. You could say that it's luck that propels people to the center stage, and a lot of it is luck and timing and who you know and how it works out. But I think it's just having the audacity to place yourself there and be like, you're not saying, look what I can do. You're encouraging people to join the feeling that you have inside of you, like for them.
Wow, what a beautiful way to articulate that, because yeah, that's all I want to, when I'm dancing, I want people to just feel that same feeling that I'm getting from dancing. I want them to feel it too. And then guess what? They do feel it.
Mm-hmm.
They do. So at first, and it's so funny because I went through the transformation on my own. And the reason why it's like, because we're all subconsciously programmed to judge each other and to, you have to go through the social construct. So like, what's this guy doing over here dancing like that? That's not supposed to, and I dance essentially. I like to move my body in a funky way. And so people, they would see me and they'd say, they would make fun of me. They would pick at me, point at me, laugh at me, whatever, call me names potentially. But then by the second song, the third song, those same people, they're dancing with me. I gave them permission to be like, no, guys, don't worry, it's okay. A big guy can come out here and dance
There
and
it
do his
is.
thing, and like to share that with people. You want to talk about power? You want to talk about connectiveness? That's it right there.
Mm-hmm. No words necessary.
Yeah, no, exactly. No words necessary. It's like just this amazing thing. And like, I use it for myself too. Like I'll go and I'll meditate, I'll dance through people and give them, I'm giving them my energy when I'm doing it. And I can see it transform afterwards. These people will then start to dance on their own and they'll be more comfortable to do it. They, even people who might even be on the dance floor already, but they start to express themselves in this, a beautiful way. And it's so cool because like you said, I just started doing this, and at first I probably wasn't very good at it. Like I probably was horrible at it. I just wanted to do it. I had this need to do it, so I did it. And now when I dance, people come up to me and they ask me "What's your discipline? What are you trained in?" And I'm like, I'm not trained in anything. I just started dancing. I just love it. And then, at one of your events, someone came up to me and they said, I love the way that you, express yourself. And I love the way you express yourself through dance. And I was like, wow, what a thoughtful, nice comment. So many people tell me that they like the way that I dance and that they enjoy dancing with me, but I'm really expressing my soul. I'm expressing who I am as a human being. And it's like when someone told me that at one of your events, it's just like, someone I didn't know, it's just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So what, with your journey, were you like a musically talented kid?
Yeah, but I wasn't applying any real discipline. Like I had weekly piano lessons, but it was all sheet music from I think it was John Shawm, like this book of, composed classic music and nursery rhymes and things like that. And when I was 10, I got an electric guitar for Christmas, and my little brother got a drum set, but I took lessons for a bit, and my hands were too small. It wasn't time for me. I didn't like it, so I didn't really play music in an organized way. I would just go up to the piano at times and sound out different songs. I learned how to play the Sweetest Thing by U2 really early, so it's just those three chords at the beginning of the song, stuff like that. I used to like to do impressions and impersonations and change my voice because that also helped me feel free from like being stuck feeling who I was as like a kid with an overactive imagination and needing outlets. I needed outlets. So I used to draw houses. There was a ton of stuff I would do, like play computer games, video games, apply my strategic mind to things, extrapolate. I'm 12 years old. It's like 2046 in my Madden game on, I'm like, I've owned this football team for 21 years now or however long it's been, and I'm 12 years old. But I guess the point of what I'm saying is I would find ways other than music before I came to music to flex my brain's creative muscles and strategic development, all that sort of stuff.
So yeah, it's a really neat way of looking at it too. Like because most people would, some people might say like, oh, I wish I was spending more time on music because that would have furthered my path. But like our journey is our journey, and you're gonna find it when you find it. I think that that's great perspective. That's just because I even for me, I haven't, I've was flexing those muscles of, I was in pharmacy school. I was a completely different person, but I was always trying to flex my muscles to get me in the seat, to get me where I am right now today, to be fully comfortable with myself where I can have these beautiful conversations with people and, not be afraid of, my opinions and who I am. So dude, it's so cool that that you were able to take, that not from your upbringing, because you eventually, and then you went to Rhode Island, right? You went to URI. Did you live in Narragansett?
I did.
My brother lived on 18 Green Lane. You ever party on Green Lane in Narragansett?
I don't know where that is, actually.
No?
Green Lane.
Yeah.
I used to deliver pizza for Domino's in college, too, so I knew a good amount of Narragansett.
Okay, so it was like the Cumberland Farms, the Cumberland Farms in Narragansett. So there was like, you'd take a left out of there, and you'd go down the street, and then you'd go like a mile and a half, and you'd take a right into this like big neighborhood. And it was
Eastward.
Eastward look.
Eastward look.
Yeah. Eastward look. Yep. Yes, dude.
I definitely got invited to take a bong rip as a pizza delivery guy in that neighborhood once at a college party that I delivered pizza to.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Those were days when I was skipping class and playing guitar instead, and some part of me knew this is okay to be doing. Like it sort of feels like getting behind on your bills in some way, like skipping class and feeling like delinquent. But for me, I discovered that if I felt good doing something, that was way more important than whatever it was I was necessarily doing. Like for me, if I had spent that time in class, maybe I just wouldn't have gotten the opportunities I got in music when I got them because I would have been spending time trying to fit into something that didn't really work for me. I got my degree, and I actually failed one class in college, and like twice. I had the same teacher, and I was supposed to complete this program over the summer. I never even officially completed it. I still graduated, got my diploma from URI, and I think they were really trying to stress to me because I remember having a conversation with the dean of the College of Business that it was imperative that I take this more seriously, and I was like, let's zoom out, right? And this is me, like 20 years old, right? Trying to get out of trouble. I look at the dean's photo of herself with her kids. I'm like, Dean, like, it looks like you have a nice family. You got a great job. Like, I'm sure you made your share of mistakes, right? In school. Like, would you go back and change any of them? Like, no. And she admitted, like, no, I wouldn't because this is where I've ended up. And every decision I took got me there. And I'm like, I told her, like, I'm going to be playing music at some point. I'm not that great right now, but this is what I will do. And I had that intention and determination. So I knew I was logging hours in my Dharma path. Like, I didn't know about dharma back then, but I just knew this is what feels right for me to be doing, you know? And so eventually I was able to graduate, and they're just like, yeah, he got 1 F, but I'm like president of the National Leadership Honor Society, founder of the Random Acts of Kindness Club. I have a minor in leadership studies along with my business major. I have all A's and B's in this 1 F. And that actually taught me that it's completely fine to suck at some things. You know, if you put your eggs in more the basket of like the thing that feels the best to you, no matter how good you ever become at it, you're not going to look back in life and be like, man, I wish I like spent more of my 20s in a cubicle. You'll never say that, ever.
No, 100%.
You know?
You know, man, it's a great story because like I'm like, dude, what balls? You know what? You know, most people, for at least for me, I wasn't finding myself. I was doing the same thing. I was skipping class, skipping pharmacy school because that's not what I really cared that much about. And I was running organizations and you know, connecting with people and you know, dude, that's what I spent my time doing in college. You know, and I probably would have, you know, I graduated with great grades, but I probably would have graduated with amazing grades if I didn't, you know, do that. And that didn't ever matter to me because I knew that it was the right thing that I should be doing. I wasn't always sure like why or whatever, but I did feel that. But I didn't go towards it as much. I wouldn't have been able to articulate it, you know, like you did to your teacher at that age. You know, it's impressive that you were able to find that and keep going to, you know, and that's maybe the connection that like music has over you. You know, that music, that connection with music and playing music, because it's such a labor of love, right? Like it's such, you know, you have to log the hours, you have to play, you have to learn, you have to, you know, learn how to tune a guitar, you have to learn how to play multiple instruments if you really want to do it, you know, play multiple instruments and understand music, understand theory. So like there's a lot in it, and it's progressive as it goes. So I wonder if that's it.
Well, if you don't have passion though, like if you're like me, then if you're listening to this right now and you're in college and you know that the thing that you're doing, spending all of your mental energy on, isn't the thing you want to be doing, ask yourself, like, how soon will I be able to, if I am using what I'm doing as a means to an end, how soon will I be able to realistically transition out of that thing? You know, maybe it's going to fund me for a little while. And how soon will I be able to do the thing I really love? And most highly successful students they're not. I think a lot of people do college like for the reward of college itself, right? Like if I jump through these hoops, I get the A and it looks really good. But employers really don't care about your report card. You know, they at all. They just do. I've never ever been asked.
Yeah.
Not even once.
Right.
You know, what'd you get on math in your junior year of college? Oh, you got a C plus? I don't know, man. This other guy, he got a B minus. Like, I think we're going to hire him.
Right.
No, it's not about that. It's about the person you become. So I was already gaming the system as a entrepreneurial, you know, business studies major. What were you doing? Medicine. Okay, but what's your real medicine? Being a connector of people and organizing things. So you were already practicing medicine, but completely outside the confines of what they told you was to practice medicine.
Right.
And for me, I was already trying to make deals, right? Like as a 20-year-old. And I think that's where if you take a deeper look at, you know, don't look at situations for what they are. Same thing with a song's lyrics. Don't necessarily take it literally. Ask yourself, like, what's the deeper thing being suggested here? So I think the best students of life realize that whatever the thing they're doing right now is, they're not supposed to necessarily enjoy the spoils of this thing directly. And you could zoom out to, like, life itself. You know, you're not supposed to live for glory in this life. You're supposed to leave a legacy. You're supposed to, you know, be so bold in your purpose that when you leave this earth, it's not about people remembering your name. It's about people remembering what you said to them or how you made them feel or that one piece of advice you gave them that changed their life and changed their path, or that one song you wrote that somebody just cannot get enough of, that you realize, wow, like this is my duty to be shipping these creative works to people, because what would I do without my favorite songs? You know, and why would I want to make people feel that way? Why would I want to make myself feel that way just for a fancy car or like a slightly nicer house or like a little bit more security in a corporeal existence that isn't going to last forever? But like Share the Love, that song will last forever.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be singing it to your kids and they'll be singing it to their kids, and
Yep.
it'll just go on.
Yeah, man, it will go on forever. That's like it's legacy. It's legacy over that. I think about that a lot with this show. So it's like I think about, like whatever. I don't know. I can't predict the future. Who knows where if I'll be here? I can guarantee today, right? That's it. I can guarantee the next 10 minutes. That's it. And so like I just keep doing my best with what I have in the present in the next 10 minutes, and then I look at it and I'm like, my son, I have a 2-year-old back home. And it's like, dude, this dude, even if I did go, I'm already leaving my legacy for him. I'm leaving it for him, and from these deep conversations that I'm having when I'm connecting with other individuals. So it's like that's what I want to do. I don't, to glorify it. Sure, everyone needs to like make money, and I want everyone to know who I am, but not necessarily because I'm to glorify it. It's about the legacy of, this connection that we all can all have together. And that's what I want people to remember me for. Is like, oh, holy shit, dude, that guy he connected people. He brought people on his show that thought differently, or had oh, that changed my mind after I watched the show with Steve. Like I changed, my opinion softened, or or I didn't change my mind, but you make people think a little bit and make them a little bit softer towards it, and that's like what my goal is. And I think that through like creative expression, that's what we all want to like affect each other. Not everybody, I don't know. Do you think everybody is creative? Everybody is. No, but not every. I agree. Everyone is creative. Does everybody want to be creative? Is it a need for everybody?
Yes.
It will enhance their life. Yeah.
Well, I could answer this from two perspectives. Right now, what's feeling most true for me is that people who don't realize how creative they are often like the most creative, because you need to create so many excuses and like facades of self-denial to like walk around like you're not creative. Even people with limited cognitive capacities or those who are alter-abled, it's sort of like when you put one constraint on a human being's process, other things become highlighted. Like sort of like Daredevil, he couldn't see, but he had all these other amazing skills. I watched a guy play guitar with his feet when I was 15. He came to my high school. No arms. He's just sitting there, opens his guitar case with his feet, takes his guitar out with his feet, puts it down with his feet, and just plays it with his feet for an hour. I'm like, I didn't even play guitar at the time. I was like, I did not just watch that, right? Then he picked up a Frisbee with his toes and threw it, and it went in the basket on the other end of the gym court. We were all wiling out, 15-year-olds. And when I saw that, it just made me realize people who pretend that they aren't creative they're hiding from themselves in some way. And a lot of times, those same people will have a lot of grudges, or grudges with society, not even necessarily with other people. Like, yes, we have corporate overlords who are trying to like tear down society in certain ways. But why are you so upset about that? Because you have your own archetypal corporate overlords inside of you that they see you and your little inner child and your dream of a more beautiful life. And then there's all the voices in your head that just stuff that down. And you got to be really creative to work so hard that you stuff that voice out completely. And so even when you think, I'm not creative, like you totally are. Or I don't have a creative bone in my body, like you just created that excuse. You just created that piece of sentiment.
Right.
You cannot escape it.
Yeah, I like when you say it like that, I definitely agree. And like we're all, like my belief, like, big picture is like we're all one, we're all a reflection of each other, we're all a reflection of like whatever your God is, and like which is us. And so like if we're all the same that way, then we all have that ability within us, and we all, like human beings, that's just what we do, is we're constantly creating like every single day. So I think it's funny because I do go back and forth on. I think about like, I think about my brother, someone like my brother who's just like very happy to like, work his job and to do his thing and to raise his children and to, he doesn't necessarily care to think about the, stuff that's going on. He's happy to just do that stuff. That's what and so I think like, he's not saying that he's not creative, but I just think like, does he not want to access it? Does he not want to, I guess he's being creative in his own life somehow yeah, right.
He's created a sanctuary for himself from what he sees as the bullshit of the world around him.
Yeah.
So he just keeps to his simple life, and that is the peace he's created amid all the chaos in the world.
Right. He's created the whole thing, actually. He's created, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes just like a semantic battle at some point to try to, I'm sure some great debater could sit here and try to tell us, no, here's why not everyone's creative. But it's sort of like Tom Hanks in Cast Away. What does he do? He paints a face on a volleyball and like makes a friend. So like even when you have absolutely nothing, you're creative in nature to try to entertain yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a survival. I think it's not a survival thing.
Once you have exactly,
it's a survival thing.
Like you can only pick up sticks to try to build a fire for so long. Like you need to boost your morale somehow.
Yeah,
and that can only really be done by making sure that you, have ways to play.
Yeah,
like kids, they get overworked. They need a break. They need recess to go play.
Right, we do too.
It's the same thing for adults. So even watching football could be seen as like creative, like, because here you go, you got your spread, here's my dip, my salsa, my boys are coming over, or
it was always creative for me. It's like, and to be honest, because I don't have the that like I don't have people to watch football with as much anymore. It's it's not as easy to conjure up my friends and get them to come over, but I used to love to I wouldn't even really I love football. I played football. I could have been a college football player, but I would just make them food and like get just because I wanted everyone to just get together, enjoy the connection, enjoy each other's company. So I would miss half the game cooking food or whatever, but it was great because we just were together and like So yeah, we were creating.
Well, remember what Mike said when you called him asking about plugging the guitar in the microphone? He said, "Create a scene on the road." So you created a scene in your living room.
Yeah.
And other people walked into it and lived in the reality that you created. So it's impossible to
not create, right? Whether you're doing it for your friends, for your family, for yourself, you're just always creating.
Yeah, because everything is in contact with everything else through the ether, which is like really just love, just a benevolent force connecting all things. So
I do think it's love. I do actually think that it's love that connects all things. And it's funny. So the guy, that came in here, Steve Dunker. Oh, and two, they, before we do that, we got a little, OG cannabis, the, OG little gift for you.
Oh.
Just a little giddy up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Absolutely.
OG cannabis.
Yeah, a little OG cannabis.
The way leaf should be.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
a happy camper here.
I love it.
This is great.
So Steve was in there, and he was, he's a guy who's very different than me. He was very different than me. He was kind of like a, I was a fighter. I used to fight when I was a kid, but I didn't like to do it. I didn't love to do it. He used to, he enjoyed doing it. He liked to do it. He was, an animal. Just like my, my dad. My dad was the same way. A lot of people who, who I meet now that, they don't like to fight, but they measure themselves that way. And I've talked to a lot of people in jiu-jitsu that this is a way of like meditation, right? And this same guy thinks it's love, So that's what's so cool is that you can have such different perspectives on things, and it always ends up being love.
Wow. Well, he seems like a really cool guy, and I'm very grateful for this gift.
Yeah, baby.
Awesome. I'll check that out more later.
Check it out later. There's some great stuff in there, and they're great. OG's awesome. They're a great partner, here. They're sponsor of the show, and I love doing work with them. So if anybody's in the area, Dr. BeeWell, get 10% off, on your first on your all your orders. Just say Dr. BeeWell, they'll take care of you for sure. It's a giddy up. But yeah, it's just so cool that people can have different perspectives, and it is all about it's about love, and I know that because I've been so loving myself. for a while I didn't love myself. I was sick, I was depressed, I was anxious, but before I started fully embodying who I am and dancing and being this person, I didn't love myself as much, and so it starts with loving yourself. When you love yourself, you can, and I've always loved others, so that came back very easily. And I think that's what's your take on why it's all about love?
Well, a lot of the unglamorous aspects of life are the most meaningful for me personally. Even when you're talking with someone who's toward the end of their life, and you can just hear in the way that they're talking, maybe they're giving you unsolicited advice. What they're really doing is like yearning for the chance to live this life again and to feel the love that they, the thriving and vibrant, passionate love that they once felt as a young person. They see that in you. And that's super meaningful for me because it makes me realize I am living my life in a way that when I look back, I won't have very many regrets. There might be that one big chance I could have taken that maybe just would have tested my mettle a little bit. Not necessarily that I'm afraid of opportunity, but if you feel bitter at the end of your life, it might be because you weren't able to translate how productive you were to how much love you were able to feel as a result of that productivity. Like, we all have different charges in society. We don't expect the same things we expect of children as we do of men, or even of men and women. And what I feel personally is that growing up, becoming more responsible, I have a responsibility to love myself so that the people around me get a better version of me to coexist with, that I'm a better citizen, I'm a better neighbor, I'm a better musician, a better writer, a better coach, a better event curator, because everyone that's entering into my space can feel that they're now in a space where they're invited to love themselves as deeply as I'm, and I don't even want to say it like that, as deeply as I'm practicing loving myself.
Love it.
Because we all go through periods where
we don't love each other.
You don't.
Yeah,
And
of course, man. Let me introduce you to Elevate, a premium functional mushroom company focused on supporting your highest potential. They offer a range of powerful supplements crafted from the finest medicinal fungi designed to naturally enhance your well-being. Elevate carries everything from mushroom tinctures, capsules, and teas to their delicious mushroom-infused coffees. All of their products are made with USA-grown mushrooms and contain only wild medicinal mushrooms, no psychoactive compounds. I personally use their Focus Tincture every day and love their chai tea blend. It's my go-to for a calming yet energizing boost. Elevate's products support mental clarity, immunity, and overall vitality. They ship nationwide, so whether you're new to functional mushrooms or already a fan, Elevate has something for you. Check them out at shopelevatemushrooms.com, where you will find a detailed description of each product and experience the difference for yourself. Yeah, daily almost sometimes, and it's like you can, for some people, it can be every minute, you need to constantly be like reminding yourself. And when you do it and you practice self-love and you practice, and you can do it by saying it to yourself. That's a great way to start, and to be talking to yourself nicely and to tell yourself this thing, but prioritizing what your needs are. So that for me, like, that means like going to yoga and going to the gym and making sure that I'm moving my body and that I'm dancing. If I'm prioritizing those things, I'm loving myself, and then I get to love my family more. So that's a great thing. Is like, I have a wife and I have a baby, and even as I say this right, even as a 34-year-old guy who has those things, once a month I tell my wife, hey, I'm gonna go do my thing tonight. I'm gonna go dance. I'm gonna go dance and do my thing, and I go out and I dance, and she has no qualms about that at all, because she knows that it's gonna make me a better dad and a better husband. And that's amazing. It's amazing that we have that relationship, and I don't think that everyone does. I think a lot of people probably don't, and that sucks. Strive for that. Strive to get what you want out of your life, and collaborate with your partner on that, and help them get what they want to. That's what partnership is. That's the giddy up. So it's a great point that you make.
Well, I hope I answered your question because it was kind of about like, why do I believe that it's all about love? It's not just about it's not just about the way that you impact your society or community or your family, but the paradox of like your internal family system, which is a concept I was introduced to, through I guess it's a therapy technique,
Yeah.
internal family
And
systems.
we know IFS over here at Dr.
Yeah,
BeeWell.
so for those that might not be super familiar, everybody has, I guess, a court, like a royal court of nobility of your inner king, your inner queen, your inner jester, your inner messenger, the bearer of bad news, and there's all these micro relationships within an individual's psyche that if one link in the chain is causing trouble, ultimately you have to come back up to your highest authority, which could be your king or your queen, and say, what would the king or queen do in this instance? Because the job of the king or the queen is to hold everything together, and the only way you hold everything together is love. Because, war is stronger than glue, but it's not stronger than love. Love is what holds things together in the wake of every tragedy, every difficulty. And so you have to ask yourself, if there's a part of me that's acting up, what part of me doesn't feel unloved by like the king or queen in my own mind? What part of me hasn't come to be accepted fully by the part of me that feels like it's running the show? The seat of my consciousness or the head of whoever I'm being at any time. And there's like so many factors with that. Obviously, your physical health, what you eat, what you consume plays into your thoughts. But a lot of people I've noticed are focusing on wellness from the place of thought rather than feeling. And so you could listen to all the health podcasts you want, take all the vitamins you want. But if you're running around like hoping all these things make you feel better, and that you're essentially outsourcing your feeling good to the luxuries of modern life, like I go get an IV drip once a week, or I do my cryotherapy, I do my cold plunge. What if that all goes away and you're just sitting there? What if you're in an isolation chamber? That's one thing I'm trying to do pretty soon, right? Because I would definitely, I would definitely end up singing a bunch of songs. Anyone who doesn't think they're creative, go in an isolation chamber. But just to reel it back in here, what I'm trying to say is,
I want to talk about that after, though.
Yeah. Well, does your creativity lead you to be happier? And are the things you're looking for to sort of secure your happiness, are they based upon material, logical solutions rather than just feelings of harmony within yourself, which are they're just much stronger than anything that you could take. Like the feeling of love you feel at like a funeral and someone passes away, or the sense of determination that you feel like rising in yourself when you have a big loss in your family or like a friend group and you realize you have to pick up the slack for somebody that's no longer there. That is going to do more for you. Like your genuine care and compassion is going to do way more for you than anything that you can get through society to like make you a better human. Biohacking, it's all great. But the most important thing is that you believe in your heart, and then all those other things just amplify what you already believe in your heart. So if you're doing all that stuff as a mask, it's harder to really get in touch with like your true strength and the true love that you hold, which is like basically the reason for all creativity.
Yeah, I think that probably a lot of people are. What would you guess at like the percentage of people who are participating in in wellness and biohacking? I think it's quite a lot who are just on that treadmill of just doing it to do it because they think that it's going to be good for them, and I think that can be a good thing. I think it can be good because you can find it by mistake. So it's not like the premise of it. The system is so broken that it's starting that way, and I wish the system could be different. But I wonder what that percentage is, because I know that, like, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, and I get caught in this loop sometimes myself, where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I I'm running, trying to make myself happier, trying to give myself what I need. But what I really need is just to sit with myself, and I need to, just meditate and to go with my phone. I love to foam roll, and that's where a lot of my meditation takes place. And so I need to foam roll. I need to meditate. I need to be by myself, and like I don't need to read more stuff. I don't need to listen to more podcasts. I think that's a great people need to feel it more. You said that the thought people are trying to think their way through this, and that's could be a piece of it. But it's really it's all you have everything already within inside you. And if you take the time to listen, it's really profound, man. Like when I was going through these dancing spells, where I was like really learning it and I was really becoming myself, I would go out and I would dance, and then I would come home and I would just go and I would foam roll and meditate, and how I was able to understand how I was holding my body in space, and how I was, compensations that I had for years and years and years because of certain injuries that I had. All this stuff was was easily coming to my brain, was so easily accessible to me, and understanding like, oh, this is actually how I should hold my hips in space. This is how I should, be holding my, I need to really focus on like activating my core more and my glutes more. And that's why I need, it tells you everything that you need. You could read that in a book, right? You could go and read a fitness magazine and think like, okay, I need to do abs and I need to do this exercises and this is going to get me there. And it will, you might stumble upon it and you might get that body awareness, but the real way is to sit there and to think and to focus on what you, not to think, to feel, to get into some position where you're able to feel the changes in your body.
You nailed it. I love foam rolling. And I have this thing called a trigger point rocker, which it's orange and it's got these different nubs on it that align with your spine. And I just lay on it and I just tear into my shoulder blades and like my low back and everything. It was so painful when I started doing it. But now
you do it on your feet?
Oh no, it's mainly just a thing that you lay on, but every day. And for the last month, I was without it because a friend took it home from a festival we did thinking that it belonged to somebody else. And I just got it back the other day, and I was just like, oh. And just to carve out 10 minutes to just lay down and sit with all the feelings of discomfort, it's sort of like what you spoke to. We have caffeine. We have alcohol, but mainly we have caffeine as like the daytime fuel of our society. It's like drink a tea, drink a chai, drink a coffee, get some form of caffeine during the day.
Yep.
And so we hype ourselves up, wind ourselves up, and we block our adenosine in the brain so we don't realize how tired we are. So we're not actually getting energy. We're just preventing our tiredness. And then we're thinking from the place of the fact that like our body doesn't hurt anymore. And maybe we're able to have better thoughts and better ideas than if we hadn't. But if you just took a week of coming off of it all and then just sit with yourself, a lot more of your thoughts come from a place of feeling. That's kind of like just the way it works if you aren't constantly just overloading your nervous system with various stimulants, relaxants, which is why I love cannabis so much, especially full spectrum. It kind of does everything at once. But even that, like, good to take breaks. I think the point is that a somatic experience in your body can teach you more about like what's going on for you than trying to journal, trying to meditate if you haven't actually done the other things that are nourishing for yourself.
Start with the somatic practices first.
Yeah.
Start with the physical practices first because you can actually feel them. You can feel the changes that happen in your body.
Mm-hmm.
I think that too, man. I was like, for me, I want to create a society where people understand that, where if you take this time, if you give yourself like a week, you can heal yourself. Like you can have all this stuff wrong with you, but then if you took a week off, 10 days off, and you did what you love to do and really, with deep foam rolling work and movement practices, like for me, it's like when I'm like, haven't been able to do more than like a 1 or 2 day stretch in a while, but I'm due for a week or 10-day stretch where I just go and I said I'm not engaging in caffeine. I don't drink alcohol. Maybe I'm doing some cannabis. I'm likely probably doing some psychedelics to help aid this sometimes, not always necessary, but help for a deeper appreciation of it. And so you can heal your body just by slowing your nervous system down, by getting away from all of the stimulus. And just like you said, an isolation chamber would be really like great for people if they, as long as they were able to not be too anxious and not get too wound up about it. And eventually they would just get tired and they would wake up and it would be good for them anyways. I feel like if we had an ability to shut ourselves off and just to relax a little bit more, like society doesn't do that. And it doesn't happen for like maybe there's a certain class of people who can do it. And I hate that it comes back to money, but sometimes it does. But those people are still, even the people who have the most money are lost in it because they don't really understand it either. So it's like, I want to envision a world where people can have that time, because I know what it saved my life. You know what I'm saying? It saved my life. It gave me such a different appreciation of how I go through every single interaction, from when I had the experience henceforth.
Yeah, it's so great how simple it is, that just taking a pause, which is often a very important player in music, a well-timed pause. You get to let everything catch up that's been happening. And if you don't take a pause in the middle of your day, it's harder to feel grateful, because you are just stacking one experience on top of another without like just integrating what just happened for you. And it can be that way with anything. And sometimes you even need to take breaks from pausing by seeing people and talking to people and remembering what that's like and how nice that feels. But yeah, everything needs a balance point. And the balance doesn't have to be 50-50, but it shifts with the seasons. It shifts with what's going on in your life. There are times when you're just crushing it and you feel great and you're like, okay, I'm in my wheelhouse right now. Boom, boom, boom. And then you get hit with something that slows you down. And a lot of people get upset by that. Like, damn, I was on a roll. Well, yeah, but you weren't going to stop, so the universe stopped you so that you didn't roll out of control.
This is something that I'm constantly battling with, right? Like even in this show, even in every interaction that you and I have probably had, I want to go, right? My body, my brain, everything that it wants to go. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to really teach myself, because I have such brilliant ideas and ideas and not just that, but my physical ability to bring change to others is profound. I know I can do it, and I want to do it. I want to spread that love. I want to give it as much as I can. I had to learn that I need to take the time for myself, that I needed to, come back and not. So when I was speaking earlier, I was speaking about me specifically. Sometimes you do need to go out and get the people, and you need to go out and get that other piece of it and go out and talk with people. And that's the piece that you need. For me specifically, because I'm always getting that, I had to learn the balance of the other side of it. That, hey, dude, it's okay to foam roll for 4 hours. It really is. It's okay to foam roll for like 8 hours. It's okay to to not have to, to take a weekend off and to just do your thing and to foam roll and dance and like guess like, the house, my house when I was growing up, my house was spotless. Spotless. My mom wanted to make sure our house was always spotless, and that was something that I thought that was a part of me that I had to always do. I always had to keep the house clean, and it was a stressor, right? If I got to do some yoga, the laundry can wait. Yeah. And that's the giddy up. Like that's like you still got to do the laundry, but I'll do the yoga, and then the laundry will be easier afterwards. And like the fact that my brain knows that, and it didn't know that before, like that's some, it's prophetic. It's amazing. It's profound that we were able to make these changes, and that we can do it in almost nearly real time if you give yourself the space. Like you can change your thoughts and your outlook on the world in a day. Mm-hmm. Give yourself a week of slowing down, and you're going to really, really have some real impact.
Yeah, and it can be instantaneous when you just take a breath and check in with yourself, like we said somatically, like, oh, well, maybe I could put the clothes in the washer and then do yoga for an hour while it's going. And then I've bargained with myself. And then maybe you get caught up doing the laundry, and then something else distracts you, and you forget about doing yoga. And if you had just put the phone over there and just gone right into the yoga, even if you did 20 minutes, you're like, this is great, but I want to be able to fold my laundry when I'm done. Then you go put it in. Yeah, just sitting with, like, it's okay to change your mind in those moments, and it's okay to take a pause and be like, is this what really wants to happen right now?
You want to know what usually happens in those situations,
What?
Nate? Usually it says like, hey, I'm gonna go foam roll and I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes. Then you start foam rolling for 10 minutes, and at a minute 11 where you're supposed to get off it, you say, why would I ever get off of this? Why would I ever stop doing this right now to go do laundry? Because that's fucking crazy, because this is healing my body, making me feel so good, gonna make me be able to interact with every single person I interact with better, including myself, including with every single species in the world. Like this, why wouldn't I do this right now? So then I do it. I listen to the body and I foam roll for 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes. And maybe it's an hour that day. And it's like, I don't always have these experiences. Sometimes my ass gets up and goes and does the laundry, but mostly I get to I know that the power is there because of that, because I want to keep doing it, and I do keep doing it, and nothing changes. My life is better because of it. My life is better because of it, not worse.
Amen, bro.
Amen.
Self-care.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is you need to be aware of like what your self-care is, and to your point, you can say, oh, go do an ice bath, try an ice bath, go work out. And I say this to a lot of people. I'm always just promoting that type of stuff, a holistic lifestyle. But I think I need to change my language a little bit more and just be like, find some time to figure out what you need to do to slow down a little bit. What's going on with you? Why are you dysregulated? Figure out why you're dysregulated. That's the key. And the tools of ice bath, of physical movement, like those will help you do it, but you need to learn who you are as a human.
Yeah, and you're not going to get closer to it by just overwhelming yourself and stressing out your nervous system. Because it's like, realistically, most of us know we're not doing all that we could be doing. And then we look at other people and we just assume, based on what we see, well, that person must be doing all that they can do. Or like, look at this podcast. This guy's a Navy SEAL and he wakes up at 3:45 every morning, and but even those people, because they have such high standards, there's so many things they're probably not doing. The difference is they don't beat themselves up over it, because that's the ultimate discipline you could possibly ever have. And let that be the most controversial thing anyone has ever said on this podcast. I doubt it. But Nate Jones right here, I'm letting you know there's no discipline more important than loving yourself, forgiving yourself when you don't do the thing that you feel like you should have done because of the person you think you are. Well, you're clearly not that person because you didn't do that thing. So figure out how you can become that person. Don't just beat yourself up, because you will develop the discipline eventually, but what good is that discipline without self-love?
Yeah.
When you look at a guy like David Goggins, and he's just crazy, he's like, stay hard, and he's running, like, he can say all he wants about how hard all the stuff he does is, but he loves it.
Yeah.
That's why he's able to do it.
Right.
And so for other people, like, maybe don't compare yourself to that if that's not really what you love. But realize there's so much more you could be doing for yourself, but that it's not going to happen by creating the perfect plan and creating all these hoops to jump through for yourself. It starts with filling your cup. I like to do it at the beginning of the day. Sit with a journal, go outside, hydrate, foam roll, stretch. And then the things that the world has to throw at you, they don't seem as hard because you've already done things that might be hard, but they make your life easier. So you're just more resilient. And it really sounds like I'm oversimplifying things here. And so maybe I should talk about some of the things that I do. Just as simple as literally waking up and not looking at your phone for even 45 minutes. I try to do an hour. And
Do you use a regular alarm clock?
I do.
You know, non-phone alarm clock.
Yeah,
on
just
purpose.
like I have to get up and go to the other side of the room. And a lot of times I snooze it, but
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
giddy
like
up.
that feeling of like, oh yeah, one more little nap.
Yeah.
I get so many extra sleeps in that way, but they're only 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I used to judge myself for that, but now I'm like, I love that that's who I am. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at all times. Nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
If you just carry those mantras with you, which is
Yeah.
why
Say
like
'em again. Say 'em again.
I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be,
Exactly who I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be.
exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right? Nothing is wrong.
Nothing is wrong.
Right.
That's a giddy up.
You know, A Course in Miracles.
I know. No, I'm having Marianne Williamson on the show next week. No, I don't know A Course in Miracles. Of course I know A Course in Miracles.
Okay. So, I love Marianne Williamson, by the way.
She's the fucking best, dude.
Yeah.
Marianne, we love you.
I
Can't wait to
quoted-
see you soon.
Hello, Marianne Williams. I quoted your speech for my Leadership Honor Society induction about our deepest fear, which is literally ties into what we're saying. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we're powerful beyond measure. And we think, who am I to be great or to be strong or to be bold or to be amazing at something? It's like, who are you not to be? Like, that's the whole point of embodying a singular perspective when we are that one. We are all that love that you discussed, but how can we know how multifaceted we really are if you've got something that, you could develop and work on and bring to people and show them, but like, sorry, it's just not going to happen because I couldn't bring myself to reach deep enough to make it happen, to become the person I needed to be for my community or for myself or for my family. I just dropped the ball. Okay, so you dropped the ball. How do you react from there? That is the most important thing, because you're not going to be able to juggle all the things that are ever. You will drop some in life. And you just have to not act like that makes you a total failure, I remember I misspelled the word turbulent in the spelling bee in 8th grade. Dude, I didn't forget about that for like 10 years. And I just, eventually one day it struck me how silly it was that I was still holding on to it. And that like maybe I wouldn't even be where I am today if I had won that spelling bee and gone to the regional spelling bee. Who knows who I would have become, but I love who I am. So it's like, especially if you have kids, realize that if you did one thing differently, you would have a physically different human being that you gave birth to with your partner. Like any one thing
yeah,
that happened before that moment.
Right. Which is amazing. Like, it's really, it is amazing because when we got pregnant, I was like, fuck, I was scared. I was nervous. I was like, I wasn't ready, I didn't think I was ready, right? Now it's like by the second month I was full go, let's go, baby, giddy up. But I was stressed for the first month, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna change life. I gotta figure this out. I gotta make more money, whatever it is, And now it's like, oh my Lord, my son, this guy, his personality, everything would be different if it hadn't happened the way that it is. And so it's like, just don't, if it feels right, man, if you love somebody and you want to have children, like, sure, make sure the little time is right and stuff, but like, what a journey. What a journey, what they teach you, what they teach you about life and about love and about yourself. Like, they are an incredible gift. They're an incredible gift. I do feel like, I don't think everybody, is on the earth to procreate, but I think that the people who are and get to is an amazing journey.
Mm-hmm. And it's every individual's, unique path, whether or not that's in the cards for them. But I think one of the greatest gifts you can give your children, other than the gift of life, which no matter how you feel about your parents, who they are, where they are, what they've done, nobody will ever give you a greater gift than your parents gave you. It's the gift of being alive.
Dude, you want to know what? Like, this is something that I think about a lot, right? Because like, you can get really mad at your parents. It's very easy. They're the people you get the maddest at. They're the easiest people to pick on and to hate and to throw shit on. And sure, I mean, there are some parents that have done some really fucked up shit to their kids, and like maybe the child, I don't know, life is life. Life is a great thing. So like that's what I have always come back to, even in my saddest moments. In my being the most angry. It's why I can always forgive my parents. I can always forgive them. And my mom's here with us now. So that's a giddy up. And so I just can always. My dad, him and I, we had a tough relationship. He's a hard man, but like we have a beautiful relationship because I just know that even though he can't always, he's showing me his love in his way, and and he's doing the best that he can. And so like accepting that it was such a beautiful thing. And then knowing that like I love to be alive. I love to have these experiences. My favorite thing in the world is to have experiences on earth, connecting with other human beings and feeling good in my body. And guess what? That doesn't happen if my parents don't make me. So
No.
thank you.
It doesn't happen.
Gratitude. And that leads me to another point, which is huge in this. Something again that I don't always practice that when I do is amazing, is gratitude. Is if you just look at grateful for what you have, grateful that hey, guess what? I got up and I fucking used my legs today. That's a giddy up. Like, I was able to feed myself, put on my own fucking shirt. Now that's like basic ass shit. Me, I got to see my fucking kid this morning. I got to kiss my wife. I'm getting to fucking do a podcast with two of my friends. Like, we have so much to be grateful for. And instead I could just be pissed. I have work to do. This is stressful. Money's going, whatever. You can get lost in so much stuff. But if you just practice gratitude, you can, happiness becomes a lot more accessible.
Dude, I love that. And there's a flip side to every beautiful thing. And there are byproducts to the beautiful things that we create. And, a lot of times the byproduct of you having this beautiful family might be that you're tired as hell and you're trying to overcome that and be present to the good thing in front of you. And that life can get really hard in those moments. But that's where you did enough before having a child to become a person that you were happy with, so that you weren't going to project your unhappiness onto your child as if it's their fault that you hate your life, and thereby create a child who's then going to reproject back onto you that, well, if I grow up not really liking myself, it must be my parents' fault. And a lot of people just haven't come to that cross in the road yet where they realize it's absolutely no one's job but their own to, make them become who they want to be. So I love that you said that, because it's like, you want to have a party, you got to put in the work. You got to pay the costs of the things. You got to clean up the party afterwards. And if you get lost in the fact that like, oh, I got to pay bills, I got to check the stock market, yeah, you get to own stocks. You get to just have your money grow because of the magic machine that it grows in. And yeah, there are problems with that machine. There's problems with the machine on all levels. But there will always be problems with the machines because they're machines. And we get so stressed out thinking that the problems are with us or with our family, or really the only time that the problem is really with you is if you're looking at it wrong.
We all know how important strength training is for long-term health, but it can be hard to know where to start. I was in the same spot a year ago. You want to make sure you're doing exercises right, avoiding injury, and getting results, but it's easy to feel lost without a plan. That's when I found On Target Fitness. At On Target, you get a custom strength program, personalized attention in a small group setting, and the nutrition coaching you need for real lasting change. And the year I've been working out there, I've gotten stronger, more mobile, and more confident. My form has improved, and even something as simple as walking feels better. The group energy keeps me motivated, and every workout is fun. On Target just opened a new location in Kingston. Now you've got even more options to experience their amazing approach. If you're ready for lasting change, head to www.ontargetfit.com and schedule your session today.
Expound on that a little bit for me if you can.
Like, there's a lot of problems people encounter in life. And if you look at the problem the right way and you see it as a part of life for what it is, then you can be at peace because you don't identify with the problem that you're facing. And if you're identified with the problem, it's impossible to find a solution. It's like being in victim mindset. Once you a problem becomes yours when you can't change your mind to view it properly to solve it. And then you own that problem. And then
Mindset.
you walk around with that problem for 10 years. I'm not creative.
Right.
But
Right,
if you
dude,
realize like I have the power to shift the world around me based on what I do, and that isn't fantasy, that's just how anything works. Think about it like this. Music is basically telekinesis. Like I don't have to sit here and go like this and try to make you move your body. I can just pick this up, start singing a song, and your body will move because it's magic, because we're affecting change at a distance. That's what they considered magic in like medieval times. If I could do something over here and it would make you do something over there, it's magic. So how is music not considered that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely find it to be magic. I definitely find it to be science too, and how like sound waves are affecting us, right? Like, so you're actually physically sending sound waves, not just sound waves, but also love and empathy and connection from your own body, and you're sending that into, especially when you're playing the music that you play, you're sending that out into the world, and people are, they're receiving that. They receive that, and they are able to transform it into their own, like, because then I think they can take it and then they can spread it, right? Like, because then their movement, it's the dance. Like I know that the music, because guess what? When there could be times when someone's playing music, and if I'm not dancing, no one else is dancing. So by the music, it creates someone to dance, right? And then that dance, someone else feels the energy from the dance. It gets passed on to them, right? And then they start dancing.
Yeah, it's like that video of the guy at the festival that's just dancing by himself on a hill. And after like 2 minutes of dancing alone, somebody comes over and joins them. And then a minute later, a third person comes. Before you know it, there's 200 people dancing in his, just puddle of love because he just was letting his freak flag fly.
Yeah.
As you do when you dance. And there's something beautiful about that. Like, I think that's the reason why people feel so stifled in their creativity is they don't necessarily believe there's an audience for what they do, and they translate to that meaning that they're not creative.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what I try to do is encourage people at these events that I host, at the retreats, or even when I do something as simple as a sound healing session. Just remembering that, like, we're all making sounds all the time. Some of them are like in our belly. We can't really hear them. Some of them are high-pitched frequencies coming off of our brain. But the voice is just basically like the tool to recognize where you're consciously at. So if you want to relax, you can literally just take your voice lower. Not just volume-wise, but pitch-wise too. You can come up out of this nasally area and just sink your voice a little bit back down. Or when you want to convey excitement, like with talking to a child or a dog, it makes you more excited to talk that way. So you have this tool right here, your voice. It's like a nervous system regulator. You can hum to get rid of nausea, right? Like even if you're nervous.
I've done a lot of Kundalini. It taught me I can do a lot with my breath and a lot with my, with cleaning myself from the inside with mantra and with my voice.
And honestly, the breath is that powerful that I actually haven't even really done many ceremonies lately or psychedelics lately. I've just been focusing more on getting deeper into singing when I do. And I did a breathwork ceremony recently with Yaima in North Carolina. And just having that space, it's an hour, 2 hours, to journal, go within, breathe, lay there. And then all the things that have been jamming you up in your mind, they all get the hug that they need, and they all get the love that they need. And you come down from the experience like, whoa, my body's vibrating. This is what's always available to me, this feeling. Not that you're supposed to feel this way always, but going to that state is always available to you if you need the reset. So I personally think music is a lot more fun than breath work. They don't call it breath play for a reason, but playing music is just like a great way to do the same exact thing and create a lot of harmony while you're at it. And ideally, there's people around you that you can bring into the fold. Like, even if somebody's just tapping on a desk, like, people don't realize how musical they really are. You know, tapping their foot in a rhythm when they're anxious, or tapping on the steering wheel in a traffic jam, humming to themselves while washing the dishes. These things have been outsourced to professionals in like jobs where that's all they do. So people think now that if I'm not a singer professionally, that means like I'm not a singer. But everybody's a singer.
Everybody's a singer, man.
Everybody has sang in some capacity.
And it's going to make you feel really good to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to make you feel really good to do it. And it's going to, like you said, it's a healing modality. I like that, like, because a lot of people do breath work, and a lot of people will just, it is, breath work can be hard, and it can be cumbersome, and it can be great and amazing, and you have a lot of, but it's a practice. It's definitely a practice, and I don't need to practice to sing. I mean, if someone starts playing music and they want to sing and dance, it's really easy to turn that on, and a lot of people can turn that on, so like, I really like what you're saying, and two, I know that when I consistently do it, like, so for me, I go to the gym, and I'll put my headphones in, and I'll dance around the gym. I take my shoes off, and I dance around the gym, and I'm singing. And I know, like, people I don't know if my voice is good or not or whatever, but it like feels so good to do it. So I just do it, and I just sing around the gym. And I'm like, sometimes I wonder what these people are thinking of me, like, what is this? But then, like, these people just end up being themselves more, and they like it more, and it becomes a cool thing. And it just, like, if I just unauthentically be myself, it always ends up being better for everybody.
I like that you brought this in, because I want to speak to, I think, the audience that might resonate most with me as like a male audience. Maybe you play music, maybe you host events, maybe you're just into spirituality and consciousness and finding ways to create more joy in your life. I think there's a narrative going on through society about toxic masculinity, right? And to sing is very masculine. It is simply a masculine force. It's a projection. It's yang energy. But you're rarely gonna annoy people if you're singing in public in a way that you're really just doing it for yourself at a comfortable volume. You can tell when there's like jockish energy going on and people are singing for attention. And there's a lot of that in the industry too. So I would say there's a lot of people who feel like they don't want to intrude on the space of others. Like writing, it's quiet. You can write or draw and you're not bothering anyone. People won't sing because they feel like they're going to bother someone. But that sort of energy to have, whether it's at the gym, where there's a lot of clanking and grunting, that's like a welcome sound, at the gym. Like if I heard some dude singing rather than like, I would love that, and I think you're not an intimidating person either. You smile at people. Singing will make you want to do that more. Like it'll make you want to smile at people more. It'll make you want to sing more. I mean, it'll make you want to, what did I say? Singing will make you want to smile more is what I'm trying to say.
Yep,
yeah, it'll make you in a better mood. And
that's why I smile at people. Because it's if you smile, it's the same thing you said with your voice. It's a control mechanism. I'm working on the voice because I'm always getting up. But the smiling technique is, if I smile, my brain thinks good, thinks dopamine, thinks giddy up, thinks go. So I smile.
It's so crazy too, because we could just sit here and just smile, and there'd be no physical thing happening to focus on, but we'd still feel really good because we're doing it. And I think it's the same way with music. Like if you just, going back to the somatic connection, spending time doing things that your body likes is a really good way to make yourself healthier. And I'm not a doctor, but I also don't need to be to give that kind of like simple, basic medical advice that to me 10 years ago would have been like revolutionary advice that, oh, you're saying that if I do something that isn't just making me think I feel good up here, right? Because a lot of times drugs can do that, and I
Mhm.
definitely don't want to advocate that people just chase feelings. But there's a difference between producing, which I always connect to being a producer of music, of events, of whatever, podcast shows, producing your good feelings versus consuming your good feelings.
Producing your good feelings versus consuming your good feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I really love that because that was a huge mindset shift for me. With me, I learned this. I'd go through yoga, and at first I had a beautiful yoga teacher on this, Sarah Curry, Blaze Yoga. She's amazing, helped me really, heal. And so at first I would go into the room and it was a hot yoga, and I would bring a gallon of water and I would drink, I had some weird something going on with me with throwing up. I'm always throwing up. So I would drink, the gallon of water, I'd run out and I'd throw up. And eventually I figured out that I needed to not do that, but I needed to keep getting through it, right? I was going through, it's like, why am I doing this, right? But at the end of the class, I would feel so good. And eventually I completely learned that, that I need to produce the good feeling, that this is I was just uncomfortable with myself. That's why I was drinking the water. If I just work on this thing and I can produce this good feeling, the only way is through. So I produced that feeling at the end. I've done that. And there's no other feeling in the world. There's no drug. It's a great thing. I say this a lot. At the end of yoga, at the end of a yoga class, at the end of a workout, there's no drug in the world that can give you that feeling, because you just produced it. And that's not the relationship that you have with a molecule like a drug. It comes in and it does the work.
Yeah, and when we have our own way more powerful versions of the most powerful drugs that exist, like,
I agree with this big time, man. It's so much power in this that, like, this is why I love psychedelics, and I think that there's so much so much future in studying these, and it can really help, is because it's not something that needs to be taken, as a regular pharmaceutical where you need to continuously take it, or even somebody like me. I'm on my journey and I'm still in it. Is there going to be a day? I don't know. I actually think about this a lot. Is there going to be a day where I don't need to take mushrooms or any psychedelic at all anymore? And there might be. I've talked with many people who have said that they are able to control all these feelings on their own through their breath work, through their dancing. I'm learning all these techniques now, and sometimes when I engage within psychedelics, they help me open up to these experiences. They help me access them a little bit quicker. So I wonder if I do believe that. I wonder about myself, but I do truly believe that you can get to a point where the drug is not necessary. The psychedelic isn't necessary. You can get to that same conscious state where you were, feeling in that goodness, that wholeness. You can get there through the practices that you learn when, maybe when you're under those, under the influence of those certain psychedelics.
I think this is a really good thing to speak on now, because we have a copy of my book here, Permission to Create, and if you notice, the motif on the book is a guitar that's growing out of the ground. The strings of the guitar become roots, and those roots connect to form the image of a brain underneath the soil. And for me, the reason that this image came about is that creativity grows things. And nature is like the ultimate representation of creative force just being unleashed and seeing what works and what doesn't. So if you think about it, we're just basically these giant batteries that, like, our DNA is like a mirror image of plant DNA. And we consume sunlight, and we have the different way of processing it. But when you imbibe some of these plants or fungi, the tuning pegs on my guitar are actually small red amanita mushrooms. I went full detail there. And there's a really light silhouette of me over the image.
Oh, yeah.
It's very faint on purpose.
It's good.
Because this is what I'm really trying to say here is the idea that you are the creator of your own life is prevalent now in our society. But until someone can actually feel that true power in their body, they're likely to not believe that it really exists. you know? And the fact that I could go from someone who always dreamed of having a book to like, I don't even blink twice when I tell people I'm an author now. It's just a thing that is true. And it's a feeling I can access within myself because I produced this work of art, which is full of other works of art, songs. But psychedelics helped me get there, and I won't deny that. Ayahuasca, San Pedro or Wachuma, mushrooms, LSD, DMT, and many other things. But some of the most profound ceremonies I had were where we barely took any medicine, and we just had someone really, really good holding space, or someone who was a true shaman who could tease it all apart and just blow up any attempt of ego to enter the situation. And that's what you really have to do if you're being truly creative. Like, if you're creating something based on what you think other people will like, it's no longer really art. It's become some sort of product. Which I understand the motif of art and music as a product and service. I get paid to show up and play music somewhere, but people aren't buying it because they know what they're getting. They're buying it because they know the feeling they're going to get from it. And so they've decided to be open to however that happens. They trust me to show up and give them the feelings they want to have.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times what people don't realize is those, taking psychedelics, it's like hiring Nate Jones to come play music at your party. Like, you could take ayahuasca and you could have this intense, like, total body awakening, orgasmic experience of love. And I could give you that same thing through just stepping up to the mic and ripping my songs from the bottom of my heart with all my might and energy and just pouring my voice out of me like volcanic eruption of loving sound. I do that for people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point is that I am just the average dude who cultivated that ability within myself. And anyone that wants to do it, not anyone could do it, but anyone that wants to do it could do it, but you have to want it. And a lot of times people don't want it enough to change on their own. They want help. So it's like, okay, I want to take this psychedelic because I want help. I'm going to accept help. And that's perfectly viable. And the plants love to help you, and they love to show you things. But ultimately, what they remind you is, at the end of the day, like, think about it. Would the plant want you to think that you needed it? No, because then you're just going to kill up its supply, and then the plant, right?
The only way is through.
Yeah.
Bro, I love it.
But some people would never believe what's possible if they hadn't had that mind-altering plant medicine experience to be like, just take a peek behind the curtain and go, oh my God. Like, I truly did not know what I did not know. And if you can't humble yourself to that degree, you probably won't ever sit through an hour and a half breath work. You won't take yourself through the regular motions, It's like, there's so many analogies. And I love analogies as a way of making life make more sense too. But think about it with music. I hit a plateau like 6 months into playing guitar, year maybe in. I was like, I'm just bored of these chords. And I couldn't really do anything else yet. Like, I could try to move around, but it wouldn't sound good. Then I discovered alternate tunings, where you can just change the strings on the guitar to other notes. And I found this one tuning that Jimmy Page used to use with Led Zeppelin, and I'm figuring out these Led Zeppelin songs, and everything's easier, and I can play single notes on one string, and I changed the context of what I'm doing. I made what's around me easier, and then I was able to see that, like, oh, I actually can do a lot more here than I realized. I just needed to kind of switch up the pieces and have some sort of revelation, and that's what plant medicine can do for you. It can just, clear the game board.
Change your perspective.
Yes.
So you get, like, really caught up in seeing the world one way. And it's not just, emotionally and psychological, it's actually physical. The neurons, the synapses in your brain are firing in a certain way to make you think this way. And our brain is funny. It will take a lot of shortcuts sometimes to make things easier for us. When you take psychedelics, this allows the brain to slow down and say, oh, there's another path that could be taken. And so that allows us to, now we're emotionally, now psychologically, we're thinking, holy shit, I've been mad about this thing with this, what this person said to me for 3 weeks. And they literally didn't mean that.
Yeah.
They didn't even mean it. They didn't even mean what they said, what I thought they said. But for some reason, I've been holding on to that for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that is, giving people it's a tool. It's another tool to be able to use if you need a change in perspective on something. Mm-hmm. Now, the great thing about it, at least for me, is that it's progressive. It doesn't, everything that I've learned along the way, and it seems from you too, you don't lose it. So like the fact that I, on one of my, psychedelic journeys, I've learned, that I used to hold my breath, in conversation sometimes for like, for minutes at a time. And then I noticed that like everybody's doing this, that everybody's holding their breath this way. And like, it's like, wow, this is really funky, and now when I'm doing it, and now when I'm holding my breath, I can make a conscious decision to say, hey, do we think it's time to take a nice little breath for yourself and maybe do some box breathing here and just
so
feel
simple.
It's so simple. And I never would have been able to have that perception of how simple this beautiful thing is, that I have this power within me, that, that I don't need something outside of myself to, to affect me. Because when I'm doing this breath work, the half-life of something like mushrooms is like 12 hours. It's really quick. It's out of your system, and this is 2 years later, and I'm still carrying this stuff with me. You take some stuff, you learn some stuff along, the plants leave you with some stuff along the way.
They do. And I think one of the best, most personally profound gifts that I've received from the plants is an appreciation for the act of ceremony itself. Where growing up Catholic Church, I went through the same formulaic ceremony hundreds of times. I don't even know how many masses I've sat through. And it was never able to reach me. And now, when I'm at a funeral, or I even play music for some of these events for funerals, but even weddings, like, I see the beauty in the ritual and how just being present to a process can help the mind feel more at ease. Sort of like watching a documentary and just kind of like, oh, look, this is how they did everything. Like, a ceremony is very intentional. You're not supposed to be distracted. No phones. You're supposed to be right where you are. You're supposed to come back to your breath, not let the mind drift. And you have all these people gathered sharing a prayer. Whatever their individual prayers are, we don't know, but we know the collective prayers that we all move through this ceremony with safe passage and find out what we need to find out. That's what's missing, I think, from a lot of our society. And I almost feel like I don't have any comments on organized religion, because I see that whatever my brain might want to say might come from a place of judgment. So I know that I shouldn't speak on that, because I believe ceremony, whatever kind of ceremony it is, whether it's in a religious context or not, is very powerful. I actually know it's very powerful. I don't believe it. And music, when you treat it right, is sort of like a ceremonial experience, at least as a performer. Like, okay, I'm going out there. I got my outfit. I got my water. All my cables are working properly. You're doing these checks, and it's a very regimented, routine process that I've become accustomed to, that I've played hundreds of stages now, and it's like I've done hundreds of mini ceremonies with myself, where I clear out everything that isn't going to serve, anything that's going to get in the way of the music, and then I just go. And that's where you can unleash your, only having one speed, and that speed being go. It'll be 2 hours. People are like, Nate, you're going to take a set break? Like, shit, I probably should, but I'm just having so much fun, because this moment of life has been carved out intentionally as a ceremonial way of bringing my love to people. And medicine ceremonies are the same way. But I've noticed that the less I feel I need a medicine ceremony in my life. I like medicine, and and I like ceremony. But when you combine the two, there's a tendency to believe that that's like the only way to live life. And that's wrong, because no one way is the only way to live life. And I got caught in that for a little while and thinking that it was my job to be like a spokesman. That I was like, oh, well, the plants need me to spread their message, so I have to sing songs about plant medicine. And if I don't, am I really being true to myself? And now I've come right back to like my rock and roll roots in my songwriting, because I'm like, the plants want me to be who I am and shine my light. And that's not going to happen if I'm trying to be somebody else that I think I should be. You know?
Yeah, man, I feel that big time, because like it's like, what if I told you it's this, like with the ceremony thing, like it's the same thing with dance for me, right? Like I wear certain clothes because I know that and I wear certain shoes. I have to, I put, stuff on my ankles, because, on the back of my ankles, because I know that I'm going to be dancing quite a bit, like a little piece of tape, because I don't want to get blisters, because I know that if we hit it right and the ceremony is good, it's going to be a 2-3 hour ceremony of me just dancing straight. And people will wonder, like, how does this, they think I'm fucked up. They think this guy must be fucked up. And when I tell them I'm just been drinking waters tonight, that's it. They're like, whoa, how do you, it's just because I just feel so good to be spreading this joy that that you feel comfortable enough to come up and tell me that you think I'm fucked up, because you want to talk with me and we want to have conversation, and that's cool. And so like, I agree with you so much that it doesn't need to plant. I think what's great about a plant medicine ceremony is that it gives people the ability to step into it and to be comfortable with it, because it's a safe space to go and do it. If that's what's being provided, and hopefully that's what's being provided. And there's definitely places where that's not the case, but generally people who are trying to practice this medicine, they are trying their best, and if it introduces someone to someone, I think that's great. But it's definitely not the only way to take medicine, and it's definitely not the only way to engage in ceremony, because especially with like the medicine thing. I mean, if I want to take medicine, sometimes a ceremony will be me. Sometimes I do that completely sober, and then sometimes I take medicine, and I go and I do my own, I do my own thing, and they're not, they don't need to happen together, but they can happen together.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, ceremony is still ceremony without medicine. And lately I've been having the realization that even music isn't the medicine. And like, sorry, Paul Isaac, he's got that, his new song, Music Is My Medicine. I love that song.
We love Paul.
And I agree with that song in many ways, because music serves as medicine. However, before anyone writes a song, they have the medicine within them. And that's how it becomes created into like a song that has a potent value, because the life experience of the person who wrote the song is speaking to something that's resonant with all of us. Even if they're not saying specific words in the song, even if it's just the vibe of the song, that's where the medicine is. Like, I have this friend.
It's the person's connection to it.
Yes. Like, I have this friend, his name's John Lackey, same name as the Red Sox pitcher, and he sold me my first djembe back when I was probably 22. And he ended up living like right near where my parents had built their first house. I still have a connection with him. We jam sometimes. He's come to a lot of my shows, him and his wife, Melody. And I've played his birthday party, played for his daughter. Great guy. And he loves Jimmy Buffett. And I just like am not like a Jimmy Buffett fan, right? But he helped open my eyes to some of the magic of like who Jimmy Buffett is and like his energy. And he took off once in Jamaica on his seaplane, and like the military didn't know, like they just thought it was an unauthorized aircraft, and they started firing on his plane. And he's like, oh my God. Like, so long story short, no one was harmed, and it became this whole big story. And he ended up writing a song called Jamaica Mistaka. and it's about this incident. And I'm like, dude, that is just, you're awesome for that, you know? Like, the
Right.
fact that you can just turn your life experience into medicine for people with this silly, awesome, groovy song that you just write, and that anyone who like lived that experience with you or like heard about it or knows about it, like that's creativity right there. Just taking the bare bones of whatever happens in your life and putting it into art. And that's what people don't realize, is that the greatest creators, they have that medicine there. And you often see people say like, oh, you know, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves, or she's such a talent, she could be so big. But the people with like that perfect level of talent where they're consistently produce these bangers that you just love, they don't actually ever want to get that big. So they're not going to. And it's actually, it's not that the system is broken. It's that it's actually, I think it's good that pop stars are like at the top, because I wouldn't want to be there with all that pressure on me. Like, you know, for me to like what I got for lunch that day is going to like influence the current of the national news. Like, it's not about that for me. It never will be. And you have to ask yourself, who am I taking advice from? Am I taking advice from people whose lives look the way I want my life to look? Because if so, great. But if I'm taking advice from people who are seeing a way to capitalize off of me, you know, I tried that stuff. I tried thinking about trying to get a record deal, and maybe someday in life I still will. But the opportunities presented to me when I was a young person in my mid-20s, I was 26 and I got told that I was too old and that my lyrics needed work. And luckily I had the self-awareness and self-love and self-confidence to be like, just completely laugh at that and realize I was exactly where I needed to be and I didn't need to blow up. That experience really made me focus a little bit more deeply on who I am, what I'm doing. Why does someone think my lyrics need work? Well, probably because they're not generic enough. So good. That means that I'm writing things that are specific to me, but that other people can still relate to. And I've just stuck with that, man, for the first song I ever put out ended up on the ballot for the Grammy Awards. I was like, oh my God, holy crap, I'm competing against Paul McCartney and all these people, but knowing like I'm not going to win. Like, I'm not going to be going to Los Angeles, and I was unheard of. So all it did was serve as motivation for me that I could make a dream like this happen, that my name would be in a conversation with these other artists just because of this technicality. But I could never rest on that. I could never rest on like, well, I've done this thing, so now I can create great things because I have an accolade now. So if you're chasing the degree, chasing the position, chasing the accolade, and then you're like, that's when I'll do my best work, like, no way. You'll do your best work maybe believing that you need those things and working super hard to like truly develop yourself, but then you end up reaching a point where it's like, oh, I'm at this level now and I want to chill at this level. I don't want to achieve anymore because it's just a headache.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that you have you have the awareness of that. You have the awareness of where you want to be and where you want to stay. And I think that's a cool thing. You know why you're doing it. You fully know what you're in this for. And if you don't need, if you have enough to be happy and to take care of yourself and your family and you don't need more, dude. You don't need more. And, I know one of your songs, means like so much to me because like when I hear you saying it, like you said, it's just I took your experience. I don't even know what your experience is with it necessarily, but share the light, share the love. I just heard that song and it felt so good. The vibe. You want to know what's funny? You sang that song, and I knew the words. I had never heard you sing it before, and we sang it together. And I was so fucked up with that. The next day, I was like, I'm like that in general. I sing along to songs and I can catch on to them pretty quickly and stuff. But like I knew those words, like while we were singing them, and I was like, "This, I've never heard this song before, but I knew them." And so like it was so powerful for me, and I'm so glad that that it's connected us. That it's connected us, and just that one song, man. Has like started this friendship, created this new thing into the ether. That now we're doing this podcast together, and like it's amazing. I just am so grateful that you created that, and that I got to be a part of it with you.
Thanks, man.
You want to know what? And two, I feel like like we like we're all creating it together, and that's what you're all about is music where we're creating it together, and because I've seen the iterations of it, and I've seen where it's come now, and we're gonna sing it soon here. We're gonna sing it in a couple of minutes here together, and to end the show today. And I just like I just am so grateful that I got to hear it, and I'm grateful to you for it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the story behind the song was that I wrote it on another guitar, not this one here, but I was at an event last year called the Free Retreat, put on by my friend Bear, who you know, and him and his wife's nonprofit, Ancient Healing Paths. I was grabbing the guitar out of the car, and at the time, my current fiance, Tara, and I were broken up. And she was at this event, and it was like my first time seeing her, and there was a lot of energy I was holding on to in myself that was sort of like that grudge energy, that blocks the creative flow. And I was looking forward to campfire jams that night. I opened the car door, I grabbed this guitar, and downloaded into my brain just all the words. Just the chorus was right there, and I knew I had to figure out what chords it would be, but I was just, share the love, share the light, listen to it all day and night. And then I just sat with that for a few hours. I was walking back, started playing it again, and then I thought of the woman I love, and I was like, hold me close, hold me tight, we just got to treat each other right. And literally by the end of that calendar day, we were back together.
Yeah, man.
Like I played it at the campfire later, and
it's amazing.
I just busted a portal of love open, like through the sky.
Yeah, man.
That's what the music can do.
I even remember too, like when you were. That's what the music can do. And I just, with this song specifically, I actually misspoke. I actually have heard you told me that exact same story before. After I was so enthralled by you and enthralled by what you were doing with the song and the music, I said, "Dang!" And we were on the phone, and you played it for me on the phone, and you were telling me how you were. You were working through things with Tara. You guys were, you were working through. You were going to get back together with her, and I was so encouraging of you because I could see that is truly what you wanted. Truly, and to see that song, like you said, she's now your fiance. You guys are recently engaged. Like that is such a. And I love Tara. Her and I have grown closer since then. And so like it's really amazing how this one song. It's not the music. Like you said, dude, it's not the music. It's the life that's lived that produces the music. Mm-hmm. Not only just the first iteration of it, all the iterations of it as it grows.
This is a really good point, man. And, maybe we can just like talk about this one last thing before I play the song. But you have to pay the price of admission if you want to be a great musician. And that price is that your life needs to be an adventure. And you need to let go of what's familiar. And you need to practice stepping into the unknown. Because like Alan Watts would say, a vacation in which you have an entire itinerary planned really cancels out the whole point of traveling in the first place, which is to discover something new. Oh. And I believe that your music will find you when you start getting out there in the world and having these experiences that it's not like, oh, I need to go have these experiences so I can write better songs. It's that if you are chasing the truest music that could come out of you, you will naturally be called to the places that are going to wake up the dormant parts of you where you're like, dude, I was sitting at top of Machu Picchu looking around like, oh my God, this is incredible. The wonder that stirred in my brain of like, aliens, how did they do this? Like what, I'm walking next to like, I could just fall off and just fall like 3,000 feet and just to take risk, to get out there in the world, to see things that you've always wanted to see. When you realize you're not actually seeking anything outside of you, you're just seeking a feeling in yourself, and you give yourself permission, and you realize it's okay to recognize that there are things that will require me to go where I've never been before, to like feel something I've never felt, but only if you can take yourself with you, right? Like if you travel and you leave old you behind at home and you come back a new you, people feel that. But when you just bring all your comforts of home with you and you don't veer off the beaten path, like you didn't really travel.
Mm-hmm.
You changed your geographical location, but nothing in your inner compass shifted.
Yeah, let's get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
100%, man. Let's get uncomfortable. It's like, why, it's the whole journey. It's like, the only way is through. You need to go through it. And I get fed up with it all the time. I get frustrated with it all the time when I'm learning this stuff. It's like I'm a pharmacist by trade. I have this doctorate degree in pharmacy, and I'm podcasting, and I know this is where I need to be. Like the feelings that we talked about earlier, where I know I know who I am. I know that I'm special. I know that I'm supposed to be doing this. I know it's where I'm supposed to be, and it's what I want to be doing. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. So I'm gonna do it, and that's it. It's as simple as that. And so, like, the power that comes from it. You're just it's a great point.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah, man.
One of my favorite quotes by Howard Thurman, he said, man's chief tragedy in life is that he often dies with his music still in him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. Giddy up. Let's get
So whatever that means to you, just don't let that become your life story.
Yeah.
know?
Don't let it become your life story. Let's get the music out of us. Let's sing some songs, and then let's go sing. It's gonna be great. We're gonna sing a song right now, and then we're going to an event together where we're gonna get to sing all day. It's a Halloween today. That's a giddy up. So this is awesome. I appreciate you so much, brother, for coming on the show.
Man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show so much today. Like, dude, seriously, bro. Like, you are a good person, and you are a good, you're living yourself and embodiment, and I just am. It's going to be a good message for my listeners to hear, and can't wait to sing the song with you.
Well, let's do it. So this song's called "Share the Love." Make sure we get our mic. I want to put it like right here. I think this will be best. Share the love, share the light, listen to it all day and night. We got everything we need. So hold me close, hold me tight, we got to treat each other right, 'cause love is all we'll ever be. I'm gonna hold on to what is truly meant for me. I'm gonna let go of who I'm trying to be. Just gonna sing songs of peace and harmony. I'm gonna share the love, share the light, listen to it all day and night. We got everything we need. So hold me close, hold me tight, we got to treat each other right, 'cause love is all we'll ever be. Yeah. I'm gonna hold on to what is truly meant for me. I'm gonna let go of who I'm trying to be. Just gonna sing songs of peace and harmony. I'm gonna share the love, share the light, listen to it all day and night. We got everything we need. So hold me close, hold me tight. You know we got to treat each other right, 'cause love is all we'll ever be. Love is all we'll ever be. So sing for peace and harmony.
Oh, baby.
Woo! Share the love.
Yo, man. Thank you so much. I love you.
Love you too, man.
That's it, baby. What a great chat. Great chat.
Woo!
Everybody, share the love, share the light. You know, we got to treat each other right. It's as simple as that. You know, feel like how good that we feel in our bodies right now because we just had that beautiful experience. We're going to go do some more of it. Sing and dance with your friends. Love your friends. You know, follow Nate Jones at natejones.world on Instagram, at www.natejones.world. Follow this guy. Hit him up on Spotify. Follow him. He's definitely going to come back on the show. We're not done singing songs together.
No way.
Giddy up,
We'll have
baby.
to do a more musical podcast next time.
I want to talk to you about that. I got a really good idea with a musical podcast that we're gonna do, and it's gonna be a giddy up. I think you're gonna love it, and I think that you're gonna be the first guest. So
Okay.
yeah,
I love
giddy
it.
up, baby. Soundtrack
Sounds like
of
a
your
plan.
life. Don't sleep on it.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Giddy up, guys. We'll see you next time, and just remember to be well. Giddy up.